Comprehensive Etymological Dictionary of the Hebrew Language for Readers of English. On the back there's a bio, on the front, just inside there's like 3 pages of the bio. The guy named Ernest Klein. He died in, I think, the late 80s, early 90s. He was about 90 years old. He was a Jewish guy, went through the Holocaust at different camps. He was a rabbi in Poland and in Canada. He spent 30 years writing a dictionary about etymological roots of the English language. Now, etymological means where did the words come from? And you'll see references in here to Latin, Greek, English, sometimes a foreign word, Ugaritic, Akkadian, Syrian, Aramaic, and different tenses of the word. And so this guy, after 30 years of English and being 80 years old, he spent the last 10 years of his life in this book. It's published in Jerusalem, a place called Carta, Jerusalem. It's a $92 list price on it. A friend of mine bought a number of these. They have them in Salem, Oregon. I brought up like 4 of them in case anybody down here wanted them. But you can order them from the radio station, but then it costs to ship them. You can also get them Eisenberg's, I think. Gosh, I can't remember the name of it. There's a certain distributor that this company has in the United States. But the people I know in Salem bought them so we could get a special deal on them and make them available to people. My point is, out of all the dictionaries that I've looked at, all the resources books, I found this to be spectacular. This is probably worth $1,000. And this isn't about selling it. This isn't about making money. This is to make the resources available if you want to learn the language. And the reason for learning the language I'm trying to show you here. So if this has to do with speak and pronounce and phrase, idiom, newspaper, this all has to do with who pronounced. What Yahweh said? Okay, so David is saying to Yahweh, please cause, provoke, the lever, push the switch, cause my eyes to be engaged in the active work of able to comprehend the expressions, the pronunciations, and then here's this word naflot. Well, now what does this mean? We'll get to that in a second. Down here, mem, that are in the place it's from, and this is the word Torah, but when the word is at the end with a Torah, that's generally where we get the word in law for tort, which is a type of common law, which is a type of regulations. So it's not necessarily the plural of Torah, meaning Torot, though that's the way it's generally regarded. What's the Torah? The instructions of righteousness. So here are the tort laws, you might say, of applying the standards according to the covenant of Yahweh, registered in the kingdom of heaven for eternity, to say, this is the way it works, and you can take that to court, you can take that to the bank, this is what it is, and if you learn how this is, you will have success in life. Moshe was told by Yahweh that this was our health, our wealth, our prosperity, our wisdom, our regard in the eyes of all the other nations, to go, wow, those guys, those Israelites. Of course, Israel threw it away and they become scumbag. Those Israelites. Of course, that's also, I'm quoting scripture, there's a place where it talks about that. Anyway, what I'm saying is that David is saying he's looking for the neflot of the utterances and the things that are pronounced in the place of your, speaking of Yahweh, your Torah, your Torot. This word neflot, well, you get the word nephal, that means to fall. It's also the Nephilim were the giants which fell. And that's literally where we get fall. That's where we get the English word to fall. But now you have Pei Lamed Aleph. Well, that's the word Pele. Have you ever heard the phrase Osei Fele? It means Osei is where you get the same root of the word Asha, which is to make, to do, produce, to yield, to cause something to happen, to publish something. Anything you do, basically, is the word Osei. Pele or Fele is wonderful, marvelous, miraculous, awesome, astounding, overwhelming, incredible. The noon is to the engaging of the things that he has made, which are incredible. Now, when you put the Vav Tav at the end, it's plural, so it's like, okay, please, this is the way it's pronounced. Please, that's an easy way of saying please. Please open my eyes to the things you said in your Torah, the wonderful things you said in your Torah. Please open my eyes to the wonderful things you said in your Torah. You can read that and go, okay, that's basically what it means. But here's the other interesting thing about this. This is not just wonderful, it's miraculous, astounding, amazing, beyond words. This was like, wow! And then, the word aleph, vav, tav, as a word, means a sign, a symbol, an oath. Now the word aleph, vav, tav, the aleph is silent, the vav sounds like an O, and the T is sounds, it is literally pronounced as the word oat. Now you have Sephardic and Ashkenazi pronunciations, and some of them pronounce this as a TH, and some of them pronounce it as an S, and some of them pronounce it as a T. That's why you say Shabbos instead of Shabbat. It's just the linguistic differences. But the people who say Shabbos get and you guys say Shabbat. And the people who say Shabbat go and the other ones say Shabbos. So again, it's just like potato, potato.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, the other interesting thing about aleph, vav, tav is it. Now think about this. It's an oath. It's a sign. It's a symbol. It's a thing to take note of regarding somebody who has sworn an oath to do something. And if you look, this isn't in Strong's, but it's in this dictionary. Aleph, vav, tav is also a letter of the alphabet. And as a matter of fact, if you spelled it aleph, yod, tav, it's to spell a word. This word neflot can be read, if you break this down, saying, well, here's the word nefal, here's the word pele, and here's the word aleph, vav, tav. Oh, it means, please open my eyes, cause my eyes to see your utterances, the things that you made so astoundingly, incredibly wonderful, that is your oath that's embedded in the articulations of each letter of the alphabet, which are the place of the covenant by which a man can become the exalted one according to what you promised. That's why we're studying these things, to make that happen. And you can see that without knowing Hebrew, just looking at the letters. Of course, it helps to have the dictionary to take these other 2- and 3-letter word combinations. But what I've been trying to do with the 2- and 3-letter combinations, Brad Scott talks about 3-letter combinations. But here's the thing. You can look and say, Brad Scott talks about word roots. And you can look and say, well, which one of these is the word root? Because this is a word, that's a 3-letter word root. This is a word, and that's a word. So there's technically embedded in this one word 3 words that you can see as 3-letter word roots. And if you look this word up in Strong's, they're going to make the decision for you to take one of those words and say, well, this is what it means. Like they took Gimel Lamed and say, well, it really is Gimel Lamed Aleph Yod, but they're not going to tell you it's Gimel Lamed Aleph Yod. They're just going to say, well, unveil. Unveil my eyes. Unveil my eyes? This isn't the word unveil. But if you know how Gimel Lamed, by what is a Gimel, what is a Lamed, what does Gimel Lamed mean, then you look a little further and you look at Gimel Lamed Hey, and you look at Gimel Lamed Aleph Yod, and you look at Gimel Lamed Nun, and then what you can do, which is the other way this dictionary is helpful, you know which letters are prefixes. So you can say, the letters are prefixes is an Aleph, a Bet, a Hey, a Vav, a Yod, a Lamed, a Kaf, a Lamed, a Mem, Nun, a Tav. Meaning, if you have an Aleph in front of a word, it means I'm going to do this. If you put a Bet, it means in, with, on, among, through, against. So if I say I'm going to do this with you, it would be Baka. Baka would be with, and you as the suffix means you, so Baka would be with you. With me would be Bet Yod. Me, be. Bet Hey would be with her, or against her. You didn't have to read the context and you realize, well, wait a minute. How do you know which way to read the sentence? For example, if the tav is at the beginning or the end, one or the other, I've seen some translations translated as a future tense and some as a past tense. Don't they know? Why would one translator say this is a future event and the other translator say this is a past event? Because somebody doesn't really know. And that means that when you get a translation, you're getting somebody's best interpretation. Well, what if this means you could translate it either way? And then some people might protest and say, look, there's only one way to translate it. You can't just make stuff up. You have to have an authorized authority telling you where you go with it. It's like, wait a minute. If you gave blocks to your kids and say, okay, just build something. They start playing, no, that's not the way you do it. You do it like, it's like, listen, let the kids play with the box. As long as they don't throw them at each other. These are letters. What harm can they do? Look at the letters. So my thinking is Yahweh gave us these letters. Each letter is an oath of His expression of Himself. Aleph means I am or I will. Vav, you could say, is this connector. And Tav is basically the sign that something is finished. So then, the eraser. Let's get an eraser here. Anyway.
Girl, get your rag.
If you, does anybody know about the Aleph Tav? The Aleph Tav is the one word never translated into English in the Bible, if it's written in Hebrew. It's used many times. As a matter of fact, it's the fourth word of the Scripture. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it says, Bereshit, bara, Elohim, this word et. It's pronounced et, as an et, as an extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Et. Hashemayim va'et haaretz. But it's not translated. Because they say, well, it's a grammatical device. Like parentheses, if you put parentheses on a word, you know, well, it's a quote, somebody said something. But they're not translated. It's just a quote. Thank you very much. So this works, the word Aleph Tav works the same way. It points to the direct object of the sentence. Now, if you put Hey Aleph Tav or Aleph Tav Yod, you can do other things with it. But here's the thing. In the book of Revelation, the dignitary who is revealing himself to John in the vision, says, I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. But that's Greek, that's English. What would he be saying if he was speaking Hebrew? I am the Aleph and the Tav. Now, so there are some people who say, well, wait a second. Nobody knows what the Aleph Tav means because it's a word that's never translated. Could he be identifying himself as the Aleph Tav, the one word that's never translated, the complete mystery out of the entire Scriptures?